My fellow Americans and Angel fans, I stand here before you on this July 4th, 2024, and proudly declare myself independent from the nation of Halo hopefuls, free from the tyranny of checking the MLB.com standings for the remainder of the 2024 season. We'll discuss an utterly embarrassing loss and sweep for our Halos against the A's on today's July 4th edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Happy July 4th, 4th of July, Independence Day. And that's the only happy thing we get today. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, even on the holiday, on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. And my goodness, I thought yesterday was going to be the rare occasion where I just get to yell and rant and be furious because 5-0 against the A's is terrible, it's embarrassing, it's infuriating, it's disgraceful, it's every crazy adjective you can think of. But at least that's only one day, right? No! Oh my goodness! They managed to do it again. How hilariously embarrassing that the Angels lose again 5-0 to the A's. How hilarious that just a week after sweeping them to start a 6-game winning streak that had a huge, section of the fan base pumped up. That wait a second, we can make a run for the playoffs. Start checking the AL West standings. Start checking the AL wildcard standings. How hilarious, folks, that after that, now 4 losses in a row, 3 straight, and a sweep in Oakland. July 4th in Oakland. The MLB schedule makers gave us a gift. They said, no matter how bad the Angels are in 2024, let's find the one opponent that the Angels will definitely beat so that the Angel fans can have a happy 4th of July. They did that. They said the one team that we know the Angels can beat, regardless of the state of the team. This is even with the schedule makers probably predicting Mike Trout injuries, predicting Anthony Rendon injuries. Even with all of this, let's have the A's for the Angels on July 4th so they can have a good holiday and then go enjoy the rest of the day. Let's make it a day game. Even though it should be a night game in Oakland so that they can have fireworks, let's make it a day game so that the Angel fans can watch the game, be happy, and then have a great 4th of July evening. But my goodness, did we not get that at all? We got a just as embarrassing, just as shameful performance as yesterday. And now, is this the worst loss of the season? Who knows? It's the same thing as yesterday. And it happened in back-to-back games against one of the worst teams in baseball. Absolutely embarrassing. I haven't even gotten to saying thank you to everybody in here. The few people that are in here live, you are American heroes. On 4th of July, spending the holiday, at least for these 30 minutes with me, I cannot say thank you enough because this means, A, you somehow sat through that game and stayed awake enough to tune into the channel the second I go live. I'm clapping, folks. You deserve it. And you are here on the holiday instead of eating watermelon and drinking a cold one and, listening to music. You're here on the postcast. So shout out to all of you in here. Jeff and Daniel saying, yo, I got to give credit to Jeff. Before I get to the ad read, before I get to the segments, Jeff was saying it after the first loss. He said we're going to get swept. So there's your credit, Jeff. We got this. We got swept. There you have it. Yes, now he's calling a sweep against the Cubs. Please don't do that to me, Angels. Please don't do that to me. Shout out to everybody in here. And yes, to the large majority that will be watching after the fact, since it is the 4th of July, I really hope for your sanity, for your happiness, that you did not sit through and watch this game. That at the very least, or at most, it was on in the background during your 4th of July festivities. At the most, that's what I'm hoping. But above that, I'm hoping you didn't even turn the game on. You didn't even check your phone to see the score. I'm hoping you are using this postcast as the only connection to the Angels on this 4th of July, because they don't deserve anything else from you. They don't. Disgraceful. Oh my goodness. On today's show, this evening's show, we'll talk about everything. I don't even know, man. We'll talk about more strikeouts than I've ever seen in my life. Like, in my life. We'll talk about a team having absolutely no life and having a repeat performance of barely getting any hits, of having an error. We had one of the best plays I've ever seen in the outfield by Kevin Pillar, and I almost forgot about it because of how bad this game was. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the lineup being absolutely atrocious. And I'm going to tell you why there's only a few people that deserve to even wear the Angel uniform right now, deserve to not be criticized and ridiculed, and tell you that everybody else should be embarrassed and should not even get to be an MLB player right now based on what we're seeing. But before we get to all of that, a shout out to the sponsor of today's July 4th postcast, Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And man, I wish I was the fan of one of my rivals right now, because there's no way they are as down bad as our Angels are. 5-0 the final, in case you somehow missed it. 4 hits. They had 5 yesterday. 4 hits against the A's. Like, does anything need to be... Sometimes the box score doesn't tell you the whole story. And we've had that in, overshadowing some of the failures of this team. We had, 7-5 losses even 2 days ago that were really 7-1 losses. We had huge blowout losses to the Giants. We had huge blowout losses to other teams where we come back in the 9th and make it look close, and the box score kind of lies to you. But 4 hits and an error is pretty accurate. Absolutely no hitting. Questionable fielding once again. And the craziest part is the Angels only give up 4 hits themselves. They only give up 4 hits, but they give up 5 runs because they walk everybody, because there's costly errors, because nobody on the field even cares. Nobody even cares. If you didn't watch this one, because Jeff is here saying he can't watch the games in Reno, that's true. I forgot you said that last time. That's why you're always in here, so shout out to you. What you missed was absolutely nothing. You missed a 3rd inning in which Roansy Gutierrez, who had a good first 2 innings, imploded. He looked like Zach Plesac a couple starts ago that sent him down. He looked like Patrick Sandoval earlier in the season. Mentally and physically just imploding. He leads off the inning with the walk. That's always Cardinal sin number 1. He gets a line out on a pretty well hit ball. Then he walks another guy. So 2 walks in the first 3 batters of the inning, and the only out was a hard hit ball hit 344 feet. So about as bad of a start as you can have. 2 on, first and second, 1 out, and Miguel Andujar hits a single. But not only does he hit a single, we have Taylor Ward in left field. So do I even need to finish the sentence? You know what I'm about to say. If I mention Taylor Ward and fielding, am I going to say that something good happened, or am I going to say that something bad happened? This is not a coin toss. This is not a trick question. This is a surefire, there's only one response, and it is that Taylor Ward sucked in the field. He just runs over the ball. Forgot it. We saw it yesterday. Zach Neto, the ball going under his glove multiple times. At least he was trying to make the play, man. At least it was a hard hit ground ball, and one of them, and he was in the grass, weird hop, missed it just barely. Obviously, he's got to rush a throw. He had another one where he was charging it, tough play. Like, this is just a basic ground ball into left field. The one thing that we need Taylor Ward to be able to do is field a ground ball and get it in. I don't even think there's a chance he's going to have the play at home, because he's got no arm. He's got no urgency. Right now he's scared of everything in baseball. We'll get to him hitting. He looks scared of everything, but he can't even field a ground ball in left field. And so the bad vibes, the bad momentum, I'm going to say it every single postcast. This is a momentum team with rookies that are emotional, that at least they care. Young guys, that at least care. But when their highs are high, they're really high, and they're fired up. And when the lows are low, their heads are down. They're slamming helmets. Logan O'Hoppy's getting mad because he's getting hit on foul balls. He's furious. Neto making mistake after mistake again, striking out again. Adell doesn't even look like he knows what the game of baseball even is. But these are young guys. Taylor Ward, you're not even hitting right now. You're a hitter only, and you're not even hitting right now. So at the very least, do something that a high school left fielder can do, and that is field a ground ball. Not field it at short when it's hot. Field it in left field after it's slowed down. But no, of course, he overruns it. He misses it. Brett Harris scores with ease. Maybe it would have been a close play. He scores with ease, but not only that. Maybe you can get the lead runner or the runner behind him at third. Maybe you can even prevent Andujar, obviously, from getting to second. It should just be a single. It should just be runner from second scores. Runner from first probably stays at second. Runner from that hit the ball obviously stays at first. But no, everybody advances because Taylor Ward can't do the bare minimum as an MLB player. A joke. An absolute joke. And so that's how it starts in this one. Bottom of third, they score a run. Then take a guess what you think is going to happen after that. Rosny Contreras, who's not a good pitcher, who's a young guy in his own right, who's just blindly throwing strikes like a lot of guys on both of these teams. First pitch, fastball, down and in. Not even an awful pitch. Right on the inside corner, just above the knees. It's an okay pitch, but the vibes are terrible. The momentum's in the gutters, and it's ripped. Absolutely ripped by Rucker for a base hit. Bladai, however you say his freaking name, he scores. Miguel Andujar gets to third. It's 2-0 A's. But it's not done there because, once again, the A's are out small balling the Angels. The one thing we were promised is that we would have good small ball, that we'd have sac flies and creative bunts and steals and good fielding, basic fundamentals. We have absolutely none of that. And Soderstrom does what a competent baseball player does, and he gets a sac fly with runners on the corners and one out. He hits it pretty deep, 366 feet. It might be out in some stadiums. I'm too fired up to even go check Baseball Savant and see what stadiums it would have been a home run in. I don't care. Sac fly, 3-0 A's in the bottom of the third. I don't know about you if you were watching this game. But unlike yesterday where you fall behind and I'm like, okay, we'll make a comeback. The Angels as of late have been making comebacks and it's still the A's. I knew it was over at this point. And so did my body, so did my brain, so did my energy. My eyes were barely open for the rest of the game. And the Angels did absolutely nothing to keep your eyes open. At least yesterday, and I say at least, I'm being, sarcastic. At least yesterday, the Angels were doing such infuriating things that it kept me awake. It made me angry, not asleep. Seeing pop flies being missed by Shanuel while Matt Dice stares and watches it, infuriating. Seeing errors. Seeing Davis Daniels not even be able to throw the ball to second and Brandon Drury not even be able to get a glove on it. Seeing Zach Neto implode at shortstop. Seeing Taylor Ward and Adell and Moniak do nothing, per usual. That was infuriating enough to keep me awake. This game, I was half asleep the whole game. The only thing that would wake me up, I wasn't actually asleep, but the only thing that would even remotely keep me attentive is that I was watching the A's broadcast and they were popping champagne. This is their Super Bowl. They just won the World Series 3-0 against our Angels. Utterly embarrassing in every way. And so when it was 3-0 after the third, I knew it was over. Because there's only two or three guys on the field that even looked like they cared. And we'll get to that after the break. We're going to take our first break here. Once again, back-to-back shows of just opening with the rant. But guess what? Back-to-back shows of some of the worst performances I have ever seen in my life. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what happened the rest of the game. Shocker, not much, especially from the Angels' point of view, but we'll talk about it after the break here. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by Ibotta. Sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids. What do these have in common? Let me put up the graphic so you can really see what I'm talking about. We'll start over. Why not? Sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids. What do these have in common? You're probably buying a ton again this summer. But don't stress out about the cost. Use Ibotta and get cash back on all of your purchases when you stock up on all of your summer essentials. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys, and of course all that summer stuff we were just talking about. So you can make sure you're beating inflation, that's a big key, folks, no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, but with Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. So right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app, that's IBOTTA, to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. We are back here on this very special July 4th Locked On Angels Postcast, but only special because of the holiday. Not special because of our Angels, unless you count being absolutely furious as special. Because yes, that I am. Absolutely furious. Because not only, I do this every time, but it's just, it's hilarious. Not only did the Angels get swept, not only did they get swept by the A's, not only did they get shut out in back-to-back games, not only did they, other than two fluky 7th and 9th inning, the 2 runs in the 7th and 9th each 2 games ago, outside of that, they got outscored 17-1 in this series. Even including that, 17-5 against the A's. 17-5. You weren't in any game. Not only is this coming after a 6-game winning streak and a loss then to the Tigers. That whole 6-game streak, poof, voila. Just like that, it's gone. 4 losses in a row, right back to 1 million games under 500, 3 million games back in the AL West and in the AL, wild card race. It's over. The season is over, folks. It's over. Don't look at the standings ever again. Don't ever do it for the rest of the season. I beg of you, we could win 10 in a row. Don't look at the standings. Because if you win 10 in a row, you're still 4 games under 500. Just like that, we went from talking about winning the AL West, or having a chance to win it, to competing with the A's for the bottom again. They've played way more games than us for some reason, but we have just 3 more wins than them. I'm trying to keep my cool. It's like 102 degrees in the Bay Area right now, too. Like record high heats, of course, the 2 weeks of the whole year that I'm here. But I'm trying to keep my cool. I'm sweating. I'm fuming. I'm burning inside. 5-0 the final. I'm going to quickly get through the rest of the game in case you didn't see it. The Angels don't do anything on the bases, so we don't even need to talk about it. We'll go through the box score at the end, and once again, it's the rare case where the box score will actually be accurate in telling you how bad this team was, because I'm about to tell you about 88 strikeouts from this team. But the only other runs came in the 6th and 8th inning, both by, yep, you guessed it, the Oakland A's. Matt Moore comes in to replace Hans Krause, who had come in to pitch to replace Hunter Strickland. And Matt Moore, he's a veteran, right? He's at least going to just cool things down, throw some Nope. Walks Zach. I think they said it's Yelliff. I don't know. The hair is terrible. That's all I know. But you walk him immediately. He immediately steals second. Matt Moore didn't even look like he wanted to make it easy on O'Hoppe. Poor Logan O'Hoppe. We'll get to him later. They're one of the only guys that I'm proud of on this team. Ironically, right when I say that, Yelloff, whatever, gets to second, and then O'Hoppe has a pass ball. That's when you know that this game was a mess. When Logan O'Hoppe is having basic fastballs go off his glove. Now, to be fair, he was expecting it over here. It ended up all the way over here. But you still got to make the catch. He did not. Yelloff gets the third. Then Matt Moore walks Lawrence Butler. Wow, really productive start to this one. Runners on the corners with nobody out. He actually gets Harris to fly out shallow enough and to the one outfielder that's competent in Kevin Pillar, so the runner doesn't even test him. But then on the next at-bat, Schumann grounds out on a sac bunt. And I'm taking a deep breath because I have never been so frustrated in my life watching this. Because if you did not watch this at-bat, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Schumann up to bat. Earlier in the at-bat, he fouls off a bunt attempt. And by earlier in the at-bat, I mean the previous pitch. The first pitch of the at-bat. Schumann tries to get down a suicide, not really a suicide squeeze because they weren't stealing home, but just like pushing it to right field, down the right field line, down the first base line, so that the runner from third can score. Look at this, creative baseball. We're promised it. We never get it, except the occasional suicide squeeze that utterly fails for the Angels. But the A's, as bad as they are, seem to be able to do this well, at least against us. But the bunt goes foul. Okay, Angels, you dodged a bullet. You didn't really look that ready for it. But now you know. First and third, 1 out, and the guy just attempted a bunt. Surely, if they dare repeat the same thing and drop the bunt again, surely you'll play it correctly, right? Nope. Not our Angels in 2024. The guy puts down the bunt again in the exact same place, but it stays fair. And what happens? Matt Moore charges it. Nolan Shanuel charges it. Ohapi obviously stays at home plate in case, God forbid, the Angels actually considered getting a lead runner. I don't think they were going to get him, to be fair, in this one. But still, never looking at the lead runner, even when you're down 3-0. But somehow, Shanuel charges, Matt Moore charges, and Drury's a mile away from first base. A mile away. You just saw this exact thing happen the pitch before, and it went foul. So how in the heck, Brandon Drury, are you not getting over there faster? And how in the heck, Matt Moore, do you not, when you pick up the ball, know that Drury's coming and throw it and lead him to the base? Matt Moore waits until Drury's goes, if you're listening and can't see me, Drury's waving his hands to Matt Moore. Throw the ball. Matt Moore doesn't toss it over while Drury's on the way to first. He waits till Drury gets to first, then throws it, and I'm doing all this yelling because live, they called him safe at first. Oh my goodness, you should have seen me. At this point, I didn't really care. I was having a lunch, eating some watermelon. That's my July 4th thing. It's red fruit, whatever. And when they called him safe, I almost lost it. I almost slipped the whole table. Luckily, they review it. He's out at first by about half a step, but I don't care. Once again, if this game was close and it meant something and the Angels weren't a million games under 500 and weren't already behind and weren't already about to get swept by the A's, maybe I'd care about this one call being an out or a safe. But it's all about the principle. It's all about what actually transpired. And the moral of the story is, whether he was out by half a step or safe by half a step, how in the world do you make the same play look so challenging? The first pitch of the at-bat, the guy did it. One pitch later, he drops the bunt again, and you looked like you had no idea it was coming. I don't get it. It's absolutely unreal. I'll quickly tell you how they got their 5th run in the 8th. Lawrence Butler. The last thing the Angels always do is they make guys that suck look good, make guys that are struggling suddenly heat up. Lawrence Butler hit a 4-run shot, or not a 4-run shot, excuse me. He hit a home run down the left field line in the previous game. Maybe it was 2 games ago. I don't even remember which game it was. And today, against Marte, who's not good, all right, like most guys on this team, not good. A fastball right down the middle, right down the middle. 96-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. And Lawrence Butler, who is hitting Angel-level batting average, like Jo Adell, Mickey Moniak level batting average, even after this home run, is still hitting 193. But he crushes it over 106 exit velo, over 400 feet. It's a bomb, and it's 5-0 A's, and it's absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. So that's the game. You got the rant in the first 10 or so minutes. You got the game recap in this 10 minutes. I'm going to take one more break, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you the two guys that even remotely don't deserve to get ripped a new one. There's only 2. I'm going to tell you 1 or 2 guys that, even though they were terrible, at least looked like they cared. And everybody else should be ashamed of themselves. I'll tell you that, who those guys are, and talk about Ron Washington after my last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, once again, today's show is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rivals' cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival's city. I've said it many times. I'm going to New York in 2 weeks. It's confirmed July 14th. Booking.com, they're helping me out with where I'm going to stay, what hotel, what bed and breakfast. I'm mixing it up throughout the trip because there's different parts of New York, of course. And the plan is to catch a baseball game. Might be the Mets, might be the Yankees. I'm hoping for Mets just because I've been to Yankee Stadium before, haven't been to Citi Field. But Booking.com, it's the place to go if you want to book your hotel, your stay, whatever. And whether it's for a baseball trip or for any other trip in the summer, use Booking.com. So from hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. And today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. And this is just a perfect ad read for me because I get to tell you about Booking.com, which is how I'm going to stay in New York. And then I'm going to tell you about Game Time, which when I decide if I'm going to a Yankee game or a Mets game, I'm going to use Game Time. Why? Multiple reasons. One, it's an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Two, because prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Now look, I am not the early bird gets the worm type of guy, all right? Today's game was at 1 p.m. I probably woke up 2 hours before, okay? I am not early bird gets the worm in many ways. And shout out to Game Time, the prices go down the later you wait. So I actually get rewarded for being last minute to some degree. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. What's all in prices? It's my favorite feature by far. Screw buying it for a certain price and then having all these fees added on at checkout. Up front, it will tell you what the actual price you're going to be paying, taxes, fees, everything. It's just going to be right there when you buy the ticket. So you actually know how much your ticket costs. The views from your seat. When you buy the ticket, it'll show you what the actual view is because who knows? Maybe this section, even though it looks better and looks closer, might actually have a worse seat. So many more amazing things, zone deals, lowest price guarantee, there's ticket coverage, everything. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We are back here on this 4th of July, Locked On Angels Postcast, and there is not much to celebrate with the Angels. I thought the A's announcer actually had a pretty clever call. The second the last pitch went through, he said the A's are celebrating 3 things: stars, stripes, and sweeps. Pretty clever and absolutely embarrassing that the Angels really gave the A's the opportunity to say that. How in the heck do you get swept by the Oakland A's? How in the heck do you get shut out in back-to-back games? How in the heck do you have one of the worst series I've ever seen? Shout out to everybody in here. It's time to read some of the comments. I already told you that Jeff correctly predicted the sweep. Daniel Barry, as always, says, yo, shout out to you. Jeff saying he's calling it. We're getting swept by the Cubs. Fud Alex said, is this their first sweep? I think he's referring to the A's. I don't know. I do not know. But what I do know is that the A's have won 33 games. And they have 3 of them just came in the last 3 days against our Angels. Absolutely embarrassing. Jeff also adding, they need a team meeting and Washington needs to rip them a new one. Something needs to happen. Now, to some degree, I agree. Because, and I'll tell you in a second, a lot of the guys out there don't even look like they care. They don't even look like they have passion. And I am not. I'm 22 years old. I think it's kind of old school thinking to some degree. Sorry if I'm roasting anybody here, but I think it's kind of lazy thinking often when pundits or fans just say, oh, he doesn't care. Oh, he doesn't want it. Oh, he's not trying hard enough. Oh, this, that. There's a great clip of, I think it's Mark Cuban on like First Take, and he's ripping Skip Bayless a new one because Skip Bayless was saying, oh, the Mavs wanted it more than LeBron or something. Or LeBron wanted it more than the Thunder in a different finals. And Mark Cuban's like, that is ridiculous. Obviously, all these players want it. Most of the time, I am of that Mark Cuban state of mind of it's absolutely ridiculous to say one team wanted it more than the other. It came down to adjustments. It came down to execution. Maybe certain players, just personality-wise, are more clutch. They're less nervous in the clutch. But to say one team wants it more than another, most of the time, I disagree with that. But in this series, these are two teams that absolutely stink talent-wise, both of them. We know that. But the Angels have a better team. Management's whatever. It's a wash, no pun intended, between Washington and I forget the guy's name over there. So in games like this, it does come down to just baseball being baseball and there being weird bounces, and sometimes you miss a pitch by a millimeter and it's the difference between a home run and a foul ball. We get all that. But this was the rare case where it looked like one team wanted it more than the other, actually, in all three games. The A's wanted it more. So for that, I agree, Jeff. A team meeting might be in order. But the other thing I will say, and it's what the A's broadcasters were making fun of us for yesterday, because the A's broadcasters have just been making fun of us all series because they swept us, and they don't get to make fun of any other team because they don't sweep any other team. But the thing they said yesterday was the one thing the Angels lead the league in is team meetings. And he's right. You should not have to have a team meeting every 2 weeks. You shouldn't have to. And so I agree. Based on the performance, based on the lack of effort, the lack of energy, the lack of attention to detail, there needs to be a ripping. I agree. But there's something wrong with the culture of the team if you need this after every 3 or 4 series. Shouldn't 1 or 2 be enough for your players to know that it's absolutely unacceptable to do what was done this series? I think so, at least. So, yes, there probably will be another team meeting, but I'll tell you what there will also be. In a month, there will be a whole lot of guys getting traded. And maybe the silver lining in all of this is our front office, our owner, are so clueless that if they had swept the A's here and had made it 9 of their last 10, 11 of their last 12, or 11 of their last, 10 of their last 12, maybe they would have been delusional enough to say, we're not selling at the deadline, and wait, if Trout comes back and Rendon comes back, we might even buy at the deadline. Luckily, this absolutely throws all of that out of the window. There's no way that anyone with a human brain that is working, and Artie Moreno is a horrible owner, but he has a brain that at least works, I think. Him in the front office, there's no way that they watch this product and go, we are competing, we aren't selling. Trade everybody. Trade everybody. And ironically, the last comment from Sean Ireland, who I haven't seen your name yet, so shout out to you. If this is your first postcast, welcome. If it's just your first comment and you've been here multiple times, still shout out to you and thanks for the comment. He says, can the deadline come quick, please? Exactly. Now it's just a race to the deadline. It's a race to see who in the heck is getting off this team. The only thing I want to see is certain guys up that trade value a little bit more before the deadline actually comes. But this series confirmed it. Never check the standings again unless they're checking the standings to see which teams are competing and which teams, if they're competing, are going to consider trading for our players that are on the block. Estevez just won AL Player of the Month. If he's not gone, my goodness, that makes no sense. Because we know that during some parts of the season, Estevez wasn't even good. But thank goodness he got hot at the perfect time and he wins AL Reliever of the Month right before the deadline. Perfect. Get rid of him. Get some prospects that you really had no business getting earlier in the season based on how he was playing. Tyler Anderson, I'm not even going to name all the guys, you know him by this point. Fudd Alex, he adds, fans need to stop attending. The owners don't care and the players are looking like not caring, like to not care anymore. He means they don't look like they care either. And I agree. And that's what I'm going to get to. You guys are perfectly setting me up. I am going to end this by just quickly listing out a few guys that don't deserve as much of the criticism as everyone else, and everyone else deserves to get absolutely ripped apart. Logan O'Hoppe. I know that he had the pass ball. I know that he wasn't phenomenal today. But I thought the Locked On Angels Daily Podcast guys, the First Bros, they made a great point when they said, when O'Hoppe's not out there like he wasn't yesterday, everything seems to go wrong. And so even though there was a game like today where you lose 5-0, there weren't a million errors. There weren't a million misplays in the field. When Logan O'Hoppe is out there, we've talked about the leadership that he clearly possesses. Things seem to be a little bit more under control. And so today, at the plate, he wasn't phenomenal by any sense of the word. Just 1 for 4. He did have a strikeout. That one hit, I think, came in the 8th or 9th inning. So he wasn't great. He wasn't great in the field either. He did not have a great game. but he looks like he cares. He knows he's a leader of this team. And when he makes a mistake, he's angry. When he had the pass ball, you could tell he was frustrated. There was a foul ball that hit off of his face mask. A pretty standard thing that happens maybe once a week for a catcher, and he was furious. That tells you when there's something that happens regularly that sure, it's annoying. It's annoying to foul a ball off your own foot. It's annoying as a catcher to take a foul ball off your face mask. But these things happen as a baseball player. There's no need to get frustrated. But when he looked like he was that angry after that, you know how angry he is inside and how much he's fighting, letting that all explode and letting it all out on all of his teammates. He knows he's a leader. He's trying to internalize it, keep it in. Maybe that led to some of his mistakes, just being that frustrated, watching from the sideline as his team put together that embarrassing performance the night before. But I still think Logan O'Hoppe is the leader of this team. I still think he's the future of this franchise. I think he's player number one in terms of untouchable future. And he had an unbelievable, I almost forgot it. Wild pitch, runs up, gets it, spinning throw to second, throws out the runner, stealing second. It was great. So shout out to Logan O'Hoppe. And the other guy that made an unbelievable play, Kevin Pillar. How many times have I ranted about him needing to be in the lineup and not Adell or Moniak? How many times have I ranted about, even if he's for some reason only in at the DH spot, it should be him and not Miguel Sano. Miguel Sano, another 0 for 3. Don't know why we love Miguel Sano so much. He was hurt the whole year. He comes back and suddenly he's in the cleanup spot every night. He still stinks. Kevin Pillar has been dogged all season. He finally gets to play today. And even in an 0 for 3, is still probably the player of the game because in the first inning, one of the best catches you will see. Sprinting to the wall. You see guys rob catches, and they have enough time because it's a high fly ball to wait at the wall, to time it, to then leap and make the play. He didn't have time to do any of that. He's running full speed, and he just so happens to, while running full speed, leap up, put his cleat on the wall, boost off of the wall enough to leap over and snow cone a home run robbery. It was unbelievable. That wasn't it. He had a diving play later in the game against the same guy. He was great in the field. I have no idea why he's ever DH'd. He's probably one of the best fielders on the whole team. Not to mention he's been the best hitter on the team other than Rengifo when he actually gets the dang play. So maybe this is the only other guy that really had a good game, in my opinion. Looked like he cared. And good game despite going 0 for 3. He's probably the player of the game. That shows you how bad the Angels were. Last two things I will say. As KCJ24, who I've also seen never comment, but I think, if you are here regularly and just don't comment, shout out to you. If this is your first time here, welcome. Appreciate it. There's two other guys I want to talk about. Zach Neto and Brandon Drury. I said it yesterday. They were terrible again today. Neto 1 for 4 with a strikeout isn't terrible, but it's pretty bad. Brandon Drury 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Pretty bad. But ironically, at least they look like they care when they stink. We're swooping this low. We're giving guys credit for saying they look like they care when they stink. Zach Neto looked so frustrated this series. And it's because he's been awful. Let's be honest, he's been awful. In the field, he's been awful. At the plate, he's been awful. But he looks frustrated. He looks like what you would expect from a young guy who's on a terrible team, who's playing terrible right now. Frustration. And I say this to say, Jo Adell doesn't look like that. He stinks. Jo Adell is awful, man. He strikes out multiple times every game. The question is whether it's 1 or 2 or 3. And today it was 3 strikeouts. 3. He is awful. I've had enough of him. I don't want to see him in the lineup ever again. He is terrible. We didn't see Moniak today, but Jo Adell made up for it by being twice as bad. I don't want to see him anymore because when he strikes out, he just, next time. He thinks he gets a next time because he keeps getting the hit. How many teams do you see a guy hitting 9th? That is hitting 9th every game. The few times you see that is like the Dodgers when it's like, Austin Barnes was the catcher and like he's obviously the only guy in the whole lineup that stinks, but he's also the catcher, so you hit him 9th, whatever. Jo Adell is arguably a negative in the field. He is atrocious at hitting the baseball, and he plays every day. And so when he strikeouts, not once, not twice, But 3 times, he just shrugs his shoulders, man, shakes his head a little bit, has an awful swing and a miss strikeout, has an awful check swing strikeout. Oh, man, whatever. Because I know I'm going to play it tomorrow because Ron Washington said I got to get 500 plate appearances this year. The experiment is over. You have to earn playing time. You don't get to earn it by being a high draft pick. You get that for 1 or 2 or 3 years. It's been long enough, and it's been long enough this year to know that Jo Adell just stinks at baseball. And if he goes somewhere else, he goes to a competent franchise and they turn him into something, then good for him. I feel bad for him because we messed up his career, and good for whoever picks him up. But here in Los Angeles, in Anaheim, it is over. Jo Adell, you're done. You're done, and you don't even look like you care. The only other guy I'm going to say looks like he cares is Brandon Drury, and it's a total different look like you care. Zach Neto's pissed off. He stinks, and he's slamming things down, and he's shaking. Brandon Drury just continues to. He just has his head down. He just looks so like depressed, man. Like I want to see him get a day off just so he can like mentally wise be okay. He just looks so depressed. He had a good play at second base. He did have a hit today to bring the average up to 174. He's been terrible. We know that, but he just looks like depressed and still depressed. Depressed Drury. And I'm not making fun of depression or anything, but bummed out Brandon Drury is like still top 4 in terms of players on the team that actually care. Being sad is more emotion than half of the guys because half of the guys look like they don't give a crud. And it's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. So with all that being said, shout out to everybody in here. Sega Boy W, love seeing you back here. He says this team needs to get younger ASAP. Boy, they better. As much as Pilar deserves a lot of credit, trade him at the deadline. Get something for him. He deserves a team that's going to play him, and we deserve young guys. Drury might need to go, although his trade value, it's nothing there. Taylor Ward, I didn't even get to him other than his horrible play in left field. 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts from your 3-hitter who's only a hitter. Get rid of him. I don't even care if you get a bag of chips for him now. A bag of chips is still better than having to watch Taylor Ward every night. Because he's a guy that because he's a veteran, and because he's done things in the past, when he comes up, your delusional Angel fan self goes, wait, he might come through. And he never comes through. Once out of 10 times he comes through, but that's more than most guys. So we see him as the guy who comes through sometimes. He stinks. He stinks. They all stink. They all stink. Taylor Ward, trade him. Get rid of him. Shout out to KCJ24. He said it's his first time. Welcome to you. You're the reason I do this, not the Angels. You and all the regulars, you're the reason I do this. So shout out to you. And Saucy James, I don't even know if I've seen you before either. He says this season is horrifying. Worst Angels team in 30 years. Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the worst series I've ever seen from this team. You lose 3 in a row to the Oakland A's, who were 30-56 coming into this. They were bordering on losing 2/3 of their games. If we swept them, they'd be 30-59, and they'd be basically winning 1 out of every 3 times. But they swept us, and they shut us out back-to-back games 5-0. And like I said, if you ignore the 4 runs scored in garbage time in the first game of the series, the Angels got outscored by the A's 17-1. I'm going to just let that marinate for a second. 17-1 is what it would have been. And even if you count those garbage time runs, because of course they count, even with the garbage time runs in the first game of this series, the Angels were outscored by the A's 17-5. 5-0 shutout losses in back-to-back games as a response to that horrible performance in the first game. Everyone needs to be examined. Everyone needs to be looked at. I know this team has no direction and no plan, but if you as a front office, exec, GM, whatever, don't look at this and go, every single guy deserves to be scrutinized, and the young guys, other than Neto and Shanuel, and of course O'Hoppe, and a few others, Ben Joyce, Jose Soriano, a few others, other than those guys, you either need to be a veteran shipped out, a veteran that is shopped and deemed to not get enough back to be worth it, or a young guy who we finally, Moniak, Adell, might just need to give up on. But with all that being said, this is the longest postcast ever on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel by me. I think by Pete too, probably. He's normally better at keeping it at 30 minutes because he usually doesn't have stuff to rant about like this because he gets to do the Dodgers. But anyways, What a postcast. What an embarrassing series. And with all that being said, the last thing I want to say, other than shout out to all of you, is please, 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 please do not let this game, do not let this series, do not let this team ruin your holiday. It's a great holiday. It's a important holiday, of course, July 4th. Go be with your family, be with your friends, have some great food, have some great drinks, hopefully have some great weather, be in the sun, enjoy the rest of the day, please. It's not even 5 o'clock yet. So perfect time to end this postcast and let you go enjoy the holiday. Please, please, please go do that. Thank you so much. There's actually a great crowd here today, despite it being a holiday. So shout out to all of you. Shout out to everybody who watches after the fact or listens to after the fact. And we'll leave it with Jeff saying he's rocking his Angels gear at work, and Fut Alex saying, have a good 4th of July, everyone. Absolutely. I'm Gavin Carlson. I didn't even introduce myself. I was a journalist for 4 years in college. I just graduated from UCLA a couple weeks ago. I'm a credible guy. I'm not just some guy who hops on a microphone and yells, even though that's what I'm doing right now. I've earned it. I've been in press boxes. I've interviewed players and coaches at all levels. I've earned this, and I've earned some respect, hopefully, and I certainly am grateful for the respect and the support that all of you give. But someone and some team that doesn't deserve support and respect right now is the Los Angeles Angels. So, embarrassing sweep, 5-0 in the final today. Please just go and enjoy your holiday. Forget the Angels exist, at least for the remainder of the day. And I'll be back here after the next game against the Cubs, after every game. Shout out to Anthony Jimenez as well. I don't think I've seen a comment from you either. So a lot of new faces today. Really appreciate that. Please, if you're new, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know that you are new so I can shout you out in the comment section after the fact. And above all else, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you will know to be back here tomorrow and after every single Angels game, because I am here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel live after every single postcast, or after every single game with the postcast. So this one was way too long. I appreciate you all for sticking through it. It felt like an emergency postcast because what an embarrassing series. But with all that being said, happy 4th of July. Go enjoy it with your friends, your family, and everybody in between. And I'll be back here for the Cubs series. Take care. Have a good one.